NHL opening face-off time, fellas. Need you to choose between the top options available to all of us on the slate. We have just 3 games tonight.
Small.
What's going on around
slate.
here? And all of them start at 9 o'clock Eastern time or later. I will be in bed.
Yep.
Jeff, you will not be in bed. What's the best money line on the board, do you think?
Oh, it's like 4 p.m. here when the game started for me. I think the best money line, I'm going to go to this Colorado Avalanche game. They're minus 160, which sounds like a short line against Vancouver, but it really isn't. Colorado started slow. They're 6-5-1, but over the last 2 games, I think they've scored like 12 goals or something. They're still allowing the fewest scoring chances against in the league. Darcy Kemper starting to play better. And the cherry on top here is, well, they're playing the Vancouver Canucks, who basically just stink at everything here. I don't think this line is giving enough respect to the Avalanche. This is still a very, very quality top 10, top 5 team in the league. They've just started slow. So I think you play the overreaction here. When are you going to get minus 160 Colorado against Vancouver? Probably never for the rest of the year. I think this money line is more than worth it tonight.
Yo, Paul, you agree with that?
I'm going to look at the other 2 games. I think Jeff covered that one very well. So I'm going to say, look at the Chicago and Seattle game. The clubs are streaking in opposite directions. The Kraken with 4 straight losses, 20 goals against. Hawks with 3 straight wins. They're tightening up defensively, too, with only 14 goals against in Fleury's last 6 starts. I expect both of these recent trends to continue tonight, so I'll take Chicago plus 130 on the money line.
AJ, sorry, I thought you were done there.
In the other game, the Caps complete the back-to-back in Southern California. I'm giving you more value.
Yeah.
OT loss in Anaheim last night. Meanwhile, the Kings are home following a perfect 4-game road trip through Canada. I'm always wary of that first game back from the road trip for the Western clubs. And even though the Kings are on a 3-day rest, the angry visitors will prevail tonight. So I take the Caps at minus 120 to win this one.
All right, AJ, you're here, and now you only have scraps to choose from. Everything's been covered. What are you going to roll with?
Yeah, man, absolutely agree with Paul on the Blackhawks at plus 130 going up against Seattle. Grubauer, if he starts, is bogged down in a 3-game losing streak. I'll look a little bit puck line here. I agree with Jeff. I think Colorado should roll tonight, and I really like giving up a goal and a half to get plus 155 value on the Avalanche. Again, similar to the line here, you're not going to get that much value too often, giving up a goal and a half, and it's a good spot here for Colorado.
All right, let's move on. Paul, which total do you feel like is the best to target?
Look, we've already talked. The Colorado offense is on fire, 27 goals in their last 6 games, despite missing McKinnon. Meanwhile, the Canucks have given up 28 in their last 6 games. Expect a high-scoring game here. So I take the over on the alternate goal line for plus 130 payoff at 6.5 on the line. And in LA, the Kings have really put up the clamps on all opponents in terms of defensive coverage with their 2-way centers, Kopitar and Deneau, running things here. They're giving that edge down the middle of the ice. Tonight, the Caps, though, have no trouble grinding it out and be effective at a low-event game, too. I'll take the under at 5.5 for a plus 100 payoff.
All right, AJ, which total is the best to target in your opinion?
Yeah, I like the Colorado over here at 6. You get even money to include the push. As Paul mentioned, you can give up that extra half goal, the plus 125. The other game I would look at maybe is the over in Chicago and Seattle. I think at minus 105, you're getting good value to only have to go over 5.5. And really, Paul made some good points, but with an under at 5.5, I'll take the over in that Caps-Kings game as well.
All right, Jeff, what do we think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that the Colorado game almost didn't get a 6.5 total just with how good Colorado's offense is playing and with the Vancouver Canucks on tap. So I'm definitely all about the over there. That's my favorite total to target. You're getting plus money to go over 6. AJ mentioned the push, so that's a great option. The other 2 games, not as enticing to me. I think I would lean over in that Chicago-Seattle Kraken game, though. That's probably my second favorite on the board. Definitely a spot where the Chicago offense could get off. And look, it's not like the Chicago Blackhawks. They've played good defensively the last couple games, but it's not like they're not prone to letting like 4 goals in either. So I think all things considered, second favorite probably just to go over that Chicago-Seattle game. But Colorado-Vancouver, the 6 total to go over, that's my favorite.
All right, dudes, let's go over to the DFS side here. You have Ovechkin in action and the Avs top line here. Where are you looking to spend up, AJ?
Well, honestly, I think the answer can be both. If you build up your lineup, the right way, You'd have to really skimp and save in other spots here. But between the two, I think I'd rather consider stacking the Avs top line. Even with McKinnon out, you'll pay up for Rantanen and Landeskog, but also let you get in Logan O'Connor at just 3,900. Normally you can't, it's really, really hard to stack that entire top line for Colorado, but you can do it tonight because it's O'Connor in that spot. So that's the one I like, but really I think both is a viable option.
Really, Jeff, can you squeeze all of them in to a lineup tonight with there only being 3 games?
I mean, yeah, like you can definitely squeeze the Colorado top line in, and I think that's that's one of 2 places I would start. I mean, I think the other place is Chicago. I definitely don't hate starting with Patrick Kane and then pairing him with Alex DeBrincat and maybe even Seth Jones. It's a 3-game slate, so going heavy on one of these games definitely is worth your while. AJ mentioned the Colorado Avalanche, and I think that a lot of people will be starting with their top line, but I think stacking the Blackhawks gives you very similar ceiling here. They're a little bit cheaper. You can get Kirby Dack in there for well under $5K as well to bring the total stack down. And then again, but you've got 2 really prime players in Kane and Seth Jones to begin with. So all things considered, you're looking either at, Colorado's top line, which again, you get some value with O'Connor, or you go to Chicago, in my opinion, with Kirby Dack. I think that the Blackhawks have a little bit more GPP appeal for me because they should be less around. Again, they're the road underdogs, although I'm not sure if they should be road underdogs. And, Colorado obviously coming off some really high sentiment games. So I like the Blackhawks studs tonight a lot.
Okay, Paul, what do you do here with some of these top-priced, high-priced options?
I listened to what Jeff just said. I mean, Nico Rantanen, for instance, $7,800 against Vancouver. The guy's got 12 points and 28 shots on goal in his last 10 games. The Canucks are in disarray. The GM was called in for a meeting with the club senior execs. That's not to get planning going for the Thanksgiving Day dinner game. I opt also to save $1,300 and take Patrick Kane for $7,800 with his favorable matchup against Seattle. The Hawks' big shooter has 15 points in his last 10 games and is averaging 5 shots on goal per game. The Kraken won't contain him either.
All right, Jeff, need some value here. Where is it tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super high on Seattle. I don't think any of us are, but I really don't mind targeting their forwards in DFS. I mean, you've got a guy, I mean, I've brought him up numerous times already this year, but Jaden Schwartz, very productive for a sub $4,500 player. I mean, it's the guy who's averaging about 3 shots on goal per game. He's averaging nearly a point per game. Well, he is averaging a point per game over his last 10 starts or so. So he's really picked it up for the Kraken. Again, getting top line minutes, and I don't mind Yanni Gourde either at center, who's again under 4,500. I mean, yeah, the Blackhawks have picked it up defensively. We know that, but this is still the Blackhawks. They're still not what you'd call like a top team. So I think all things considered, the Seattle Kraken are at home. You've got 2 really good, really cheap Seattle Kraken forwards you can pair together, and I think that's a good value stack there if you're just looking to get a little bit of exposure and save some money tonight with Seattle.
All right, Paul, please help me out with some value.
I'm going to include a goalie for bonus value here. I grabbed AJ's fanboy fave Fleury in the nets for $7,500, the cheapest netminder, who will have a high win probability in Seattle tonight, in my opinion. Among the skaters, I'll help you save money by taking Samuel Girard of the Avs on defense for only $3,800 as part of that Colorado stack we've been talking about. This guy's got 9 points in his last 10 games, averaging 10 DraftKings points per game. That's the best value by miles for a defenseman anywhere on tonight's slate, in my opinion. And among the forwards, I go to the late game and pick up LA's Adrian Kempe, who's priced at only $4,000, despite the fact he's playing first-line minutes, has 8 points and 30 shots on goal in his last 10 outings.
All right, AJ, hit us with some value here.
Yeah, I got 2 guys that are playing in the top 6 that aren't going to cost you much. First is Connor McMichael for Washington, comes in at just $4K. He's going to anchor that second line with Connor Sherry and Daniel Sprong. And then I also really like Philip Kurashev, again, going to the Blackhawks. He's going to play on that second line. They are a little bit more first-line dependent so far this season. Jonathan Taves struggling out the gate here. But I think if he starts get going, he's got 2 assists in the last 3 games. He can kind of carry along Dominic Kubalik and Philip Kurashev with him.